a speech by the Al-Ayn charity. Now, it's no secret that Iraq has been a war-torn country for decades, and we all know that the land of Iraq is filled with millions and millions of the destitute and widows and orphans. But with every plight, there is a silver lining, and the Al-Ayn charity was set up with the blessings of Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Sistani, who continues to strongly encourage support for this charity and personally endorses the fantastic work that they are doing. They continue to provide aid and support for these poor victims of continued terror, and their headquarters are only a few minutes away from the shrine of Imam Musa al-Kadhim and Imam al-Jawad alayhim as-salam themselves, so their attendance today is truly poignant. Before inviting them up, I just want to remind you of a quote from Imam Musa al-Kadhim, and this is one of his most famous quotes, that the best of generosity is helping the oppressed. So I'd like to call up Brother Ahmed Musa to come and give us a talk. There'll be a PowerPoint presentation, so could I ask everyone that's sitting at the back just to come forward so we can all look at the screens here. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Respected scholars, elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Meet Al-Hassan, a 13-year-old teenager living in the suburbs of Baghdad. I met him last year. Al-Hassan has a special talent, and this is a self-taught talent for folding pieces of paper, colored pieces of paper to create models, and for the younger audience here, you'd recognize this as origami. So when I met him, he was naturally excited and keen to explain how he was able to provide and make these structures. So he sat us down and he went through the process of making one of these simple structures while we were there in the headquarters in Baghdad. While I was talking to him, the Al-Ayn media team had already recognized his talent, so they asked me to do an interview with him on the spot so that it could be recorded. To be honest, I wasn't prepared. I had no idea what to ask him, and Al-Hassan could see this was the case. So he told me, I'll tell you what to ask me. Ask me, when did you learn this talent? How long have you been doing it for? Does it affect your studies? And he also told me, ask me, what should we expect from you in the future? I was taken aback. Not only was Al-Hassan extremely talented with paper and with origami, but he was obviously a witty young man. From what I've told you, you'd assume that he had a fairly uneventful childhood and upbringing, but it was far, far from that. He was only 7 days old when his father was taken and killed as a result of sectarian violence in northern part north of Baghdad called Diyala, province of Diyala. So imagine, 7 days old, his uncle took him and his mother to Baghdad, where they spent the next 2 years. A few years later, his uncle was then taken and killed as well. Al-Hassan not only felt the pain and sorrow of being orphaned once, but twice. The only reason we know of this story is because of Al-Ayn Social Care Foundation. This was established under instruction of Ayatollah Sistani in 2006. The purpose of the foundation was to document cases of victims of terrorism and human rights abuses, like that of Al-Hassan's father and his uncle. Early on during this process, Al-Ayn officials recognized that it wasn't enough just to document these cases, as these families were in dire need of support. So they relayed this information back to the office of the Sayyid, who then provided grants to provide support for these families. Today, and over 10 years on, there are over 43,000 orphans. Just think of the number, 43,000 orphans all across Iraq who are currently receiving support from the foundation. In addition to this, there are over 33,000 individuals who have been displaced, also who have been entrusted by Sayyid Sistani to be supported via Al-Ayn charity. And like I mentioned to you before, the initial purpose of the foundation was to document cases of these victims. And today, there are over 11,000 of these cases recorded and documented so that we will not forget the atba' and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, what they went through. Now, if you look here, part of what Al-Ayn does is, in addition to the support that they receive from Ayatollah Sistani, Al-Ayn has private sponsorship programs for these orphans. In the UK, it's equivalent to £55 a month. It starts from that much and it goes up depending on the need. You may ask, why is it so much? The reason is, to qualify and to truly meet the requirement for sponsorship, you must attain and give all the requirements, the basic requirements for these orphans. And it was deemed that this is the amount required so that they live above the poverty line. And if you look at this picture, I know it looks like a bank, but this is actually the headquarters in Kadhimiya. The widow comes in, she receives her queue number. Once her number appears above one of the kiosks, she goes to receive her money in the most dignified way possible. Now, you may ask, how is this all possible? All the running costs of the foundation are covered by the office of Ayatollah Sistani. So 100% of your donations go towards those who are in need. There are no admin costs involved. In addition to this, through ijazah of Ayatollah Sistani, Al-Ayn has permission to receive religious dues, such as khums, zakat, adhiyah, and this will all go towards the support of the orphans. You can check this on our website, alayn.co.uk, or in our stalls on the ladies and the gents side, or on sistani.org under social services. It's not very clear here, but these are sadaqah boxes which are unique to Al-Ayn. And what makes them special, and you can pick one of these up for free on your way out, is that money placed into these boxes count as sadaqah maqboodah by ijazah of Sayyid Sistani. What sadaqah maqboodah means, it's that it's received sadaqah. As you may all be aware, to receive the full reward of sadaqah, it must reach the hand of those who are in need of it. So this box, placing it into this box, is equivalent in thawab to giving it to those who are in need, and this helps us mu'mineen in the West to be able to give sadaqah whenever we wish. And again, once money is placed into these boxes, each box has an ID number corresponding to the donor, and when we receive the box back, we'll inform you of how much you have donated towards the care of our dear orphans. The work and the support of Al-Ayn does not stop there with financial aid. This is an example of the medical and dental aid that they provide, and this is the picture that I took when I went last December. We are here commemorating the wafat of Imam Musa Al-Kadhim, and this dental unit has been donated from the ataba or the shrine of Imam Al-Kadhim. And this is being used to provide care and treatment for the orphans in the office in Kadhimi, and there are several other ones popping up around the offices of Al-Ayn across Iraq. We also have educational support programs. And again, through instruction of Ayatollah Sistani, it's not enough that we provide just monetary aid or help them survive. We want these orphans to excel and to be active and useful members of society in the future. And during a private visit of some of these orphans to the Sayyid, he asked them and he said, I expect the leaders of tomorrow to be from you. So we have very high aspirations for our orphans, and those who are academically talented, the sponsorship is actually greater. It's £80 a month. We encourage our orphans, if you do well in school, we'll give you more support. And again, this is through instruction. Now, a lot of these orphans have actually witnessed the loss of their loved ones themselves. So we can give them medical support, we can give them money, we can give them food, we can take them to school. But at the end of the day, they're children who witnessed in the most traumatic way the loss of their loved ones. Al-Ayn recognizes this need and has psychological rehabilitation programs to help these orphans overcome their troubles. And again, this is a picture of the boys' play area, and it looks like a play area, but it's actually psychological rehabilitation. All the toys have been picked in collaboration with psychologists, and there are social workers here monitoring how they play and helping identify and formulate plans through play therapy to help them overcome their losses. Looking forward again, this is a vocational training center that's been built in Baghdad. This idea was thought of a few years ago. We started raising awareness for it last year, and by Ramadan last year, through the international offices of Al-Ayn, we raised all the funds required for it. And the picture on the right is of last month, or this month, early this month, the building is complete. This is a whole workshop training the orphans to be able to learn skills so that they can rely on themselves. So we're thinking of the future. And this is a new form of sadaqah that Al-Ayn has introduced with sadaqah jariyah. So if you contribute towards this, you're contributing towards a building that will train the orphan to look after themselves. Since this was done last year, there have been 5 more of these centers being built all across Iraq. Now, at the end of the day, all these stories that I'm telling you about and the work of Al-Ayn, we're dealing with children. And nothing makes a child more happy than toys. Al-Ayn stresses on the importance of providing toys to these orphans on a regular basis, and they give them the luxury and the bounty of choice. Normally, when people are less fortunate than us, we give them something. Here's a pack, here's aid. Al-Ayn does not work like that with orphans. When they go to the center, the places are designed like shops. They go in, they choose what they like. Toys, we accept used toys from the UK, and last year alone, we sent 3.5 tons worth of good quality used toys to Iraq to be given to the orphans. If you have any ideas about how you can help us with this, please do see us in the stalls. In terms of expansion in Iraq, I explained to you when it started in 2006, it started off documenting cases, and then it began to provide aid to the orphans of those documented, and then it began to give aid to all orphans who qualify, and then it began giving aid to the displaced. Today there are over 35 offices all across Iraq, spread out. There are 9 internationally registered branches of Al-Ayn in the UK, across Europe, in America, Canada, Australia. And last year the work of Al-Ayn was recognized by the United Nations, and it was awarded special consultative status in Geneva. So this is just to show you the amount of work that's happening and the expansion. In the UK, we have several coordinators, and if you're interested in helping out over here, please do come and see us in the men's or in the ladies' stall. And in terms of work we've done in the UK, we've had a screening of the movie The Princess of Rome. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but last year we exclusively screened it in UK cinemas in 10 different just on the 10 locations, depicting the life of a Sayyidah Narjis, the mother of Imam Mahdi, Ajalullah Faraja. So the idea was it was a beneficial movie, but rather than having adverts, we would talk about the work of the foundation. We've also had workshops on how to write your will. We've had mothers and children's programs, and we are also thinking of ways of providing services to the community. Just last week, we had a Dua Nudba program in the morning, where we obviously had the Dua being recited, but also raised awareness for the work of the foundation. I'd like to end with this thought. At the end of the day, these orphans are in dire need of support, and we are talking about our awaited Imam, and him seeing these orphans in a bad state causes grief to his heart. The little that we can do to make the lives of these orphans better will plant a smile and draw happiness to our Imam. So I encourage us all, brothers and sisters, to think about ways in which you can make a difference to those who are in most need of support and help. And remember, the Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, one of his titles was Abu al-Aytam, so the father of the orphans. So if it wasn't something that brought great reward and satisfaction, Amir al-Mu'mineen himself wouldn't have this kunya or this title himself. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Ahsan, Jazakallah khair.